Pearl delivers. So, after watching X, I was really excited to go see Pearl, simply because I loved X. In my opinion, was a great horror movie, and it was a movie that had really good characters in it. Honestly, that's the last thing I was expecting when I went to go see X, and I really enjoyed the characters more than just the gore and the horror aspect of it. It was really the characters that got me interested, and it was the character of Pearl that got me excited to see Pearl, so I can see more of her backstory and who she was before she was this horrible yet very sympathetic villain. When watching Pearl, I gotta say, first things first, Mia Goth did a phenomenal job. Honestly, she has implemented her name in my opinion, at least. The character of Pearl is just one of the greatest villains in the past decade. Yeah, she's an amazing character, honestly. Okay, so I gotta say, the character of Pearl is easily one of the best characters that we've seen in a long time for the horror community. And I am so thankful that Mia Goth got to play that character, because she just brings her A game. She is killing it with these roles. You know, in X, she did a really good job, but she really gets her time to shine in Pearl. And I gotta say, in this movie, she gets this monologue scene that I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. If one, you've seen the movie, or two, you've seen other reviews about this movie, because it just seems like that's a lot of most people that are talking about. You know, they're bringing up this monologue scene. And I gotta say, I was invested for every single second of that scene. And no, honestly, I was invested for the entire movie because she absolutely killed it. And I would say this is one of the few movies, the only other movie that I can think of is The Hateful Eight, where I actually feel like this movie was made in the time that it said it was made. You know, I know The Hateful Eight was made a couple of 100 years ago, I think, right? But this one, you know, set in 1918, it really has the aesthetic and the vibe and the feel of an old movie that could have been made in the 1918s. Or, you know, the first thing that popped in my head was The Wizard of Oz, and that's the way Mia Goth's character Pearl was dressed, and just the way she sings and the way she acts and the way she talks. She reminds me of Dorothy. And honestly, just looking at her character in general, she is the spotlight, she is the center of the show, and that is nothing against the other actors. The other actors, they do a really good job at pretty much portraying the characters they have to be, especially the mother. The mother, I didn't know the actor's name, but the person who played the mother of Pearl did such an amazing job at giving you this horrible yet understandable character, and you get where she's coming from, and you get the pain that she's going through, and you get why she's so hard on Pearl. But at the same time, it's too much, and it's something that no kid wants their parents to be. Now, really, this movie isn't really about Pearl being a murderer. You get this idea that she's already sick in the head and she's messed up in the head from the start of the movie. And it's really just her really just letting go and just going into the dark side and really just becoming and allowing herself to become the murderer that she becomes next, in a very slow pace. You know, it's not like X, it's not like this action-packed horror movie. It's a very slow pace and just character study about the character of Pearl, and you almost feel bad for her. You at least understand where she's coming from and what made her so sick, but obviously you don't agree with it because it's ridiculous and it's over the top, and well, it's creepy to watch. Actually, this is one of the most unsettling movies that I've seen in a very long time, and I would say out of all the movies, this is probably actually the scariest movie that I've seen all year. I think it is scarier than X because of how realistic. You know, X, it has a realistic factor, but you know, you get a more fun slasher, little late 70s, early 80s. You know, it's pretty much the whole 70s and 80s aspect of horror slashers, where it gets bloody and it's fun, it's entertaining. This movie, it's fun to watch, but it's also very hard to watch. It's hard to see Pearl become this monster, and it makes you feel uneasy inside. It makes you feel uncomfortable, but you can't look away because of the performances. I mean, Mia, I don't know, I'm gonna keep messing up her name, but her performance is just top notch, and it's sad because she most likely won't even get nominated for an Oscar, which is ridiculous. You know, I don't care about Oscars, but anyways, she deserves it. She deserves all the awards. she did a phenomenal job. And the end credits, her smile at the end credits, that was so enjoyable to watch, because I know how much pain that girl must have been in recording that scene. Now, I would say any negatives towards this movie, it's not a negative, it's just more of a disadvantage that this movie has towards X. Clearly, it's more slow pace, and it's more artsy than X was, and I know X was very artsy for a horror movie, but it is more artsy, and I think that's not really gonna have the attention that more of a mainstream audience would want. You know, they would want more, you know, just blood, sex, gore, and just a fun slasher movie. When in this movie you get, I think the best way to put it is X is more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, and Pearl is more of like The Shining, or damn, I can't think of something like that. But The Shining, you know, you get two different types of horror movies, and it's hard for something like Pearl to be advertised to be as entertaining as X. Now, I would say, which one do I prefer? I'm honestly not sure. X is clearly the more rewatchable one. X is easier to watch, but I gotta give it to Pearl. The performances of Maya Goth, the characters, the character of Pearl is far more interesting than I would say she's far more interesting than any of the characters from X. And yeah, she's probably the most interesting character out of this whole, whatever you're gonna call it, a trilogy, I guess, you know, because we know now MaXXXine is coming out, which is awesome. But yeah, she's easily the most interesting character and the best performed character. I mean, Maya Goth, damn it, how many times am I gonna keep doing it? Yeah, she's easily the best part, and it's kind of sad because, you know, spoiler alert for X, but we know Pearl dies, so we won't see any of Pearl in MaXXXine, or, you know, maybe they'll do some flashback, who knows. But really, I gotta say, this movie is phenomenal. It's easily making my top 10, and it's hard to it's hard to put it against X, because in a way they are very different movies, which is awesome. You know, you get this world that you can go into, and if you're in the mood for a slasher, a quick fun time, you can go see X. If you're in the mood for a very disturbing and depressing character study, you can go see Pearl. Like, and you can easily put them together and just have a great double feature. But really, I say this is something that I missed on the X review, and I'm glad I didn't forget to bring it up here, because the score is amazing. Horror movies this year have been killing it with the score. I really enjoyed the score on The Black Phone, especially the main titles. I love the score in Barbarian. I love the score in X, and I love the score here in Pearl. This movie is great. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I knew it was like, okay, based on the reviews and even the trailer, this is going to be an amazing character study, and this is exactly what I got. I absolutely love this movie. Please, guys, go out and watch it. I know it's not as mainstream as X, and it probably won't be as easy to watch as X, but guys, seriously, this is an amazing horror movie. It's very suspenseful. I would say it's more like a suspense thriller than it really is horror. It's not as bloody, and it gets bloody though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say it doesn't get bloody. It gets pretty violent, especially at the end with this really cool tracking shot of her with what is it, an axe? I think it's an axe. I don't really know my tools though. I think it's an axe. The ending itself, like the last 15 minutes of this movie, in my opinion, are far better than anything X produced. And that's nothing against X, because I loved X. But those last 15 minutes really just left me with the biggest smile on my face. And I absolutely enjoyed this movie. I love it, and I can easily tell it's going to make my top 10 horror movies. Oh, well, my top 10 movies of all time in general, not just horror movie. Horror movies, I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything, but I still don't think it'll make #1 for horror movies this year. But anyways, please, go out and watch this movie, support this movie, give this movie some good money. It deserves it. Let the studios know that while we love slashers, I love slashers, we also love these character studies. And as always, thanks for watching.